Welcome everybody to Sitecore's TechLab. My name is David Schweer and I lead product marketing. And what I want to talk to you about is something that I'm seeing in the marketplace, especially in the use of advanced digital asset management tools, and that's using them as a headless CMS. And so what I want to talk to you about, because I know we have a mixed audience, is what does that sentence mean that I just said, headless CMS? This might be the first time that you're encountering it. But then I really kind of want to go into why would you even think about using your DAM in this way? Now, just giving you a little bit of preview, I still maintain buy a DAM for its core functionality first, but as the title of this session suggests, I think this might help you in a little bit of business justification, or maybe just figure out a new way for you to create value for your business. So as we get to why you would do this, let's start at the very beginning that I think we're seeing in a lot of different sessions here at the DAM Festival, and that is customer experience is everything. But the problem is when you actually go and you talk to companies, they'll tell you, oh, we're doing a great job. But in research that we did here at Sitecore, we asked customers of these companies in the same survey, it's in the same window, and only 8% of people agree. Now, the problem with that, and the reason why we think that exists, is because customer expectations have evolved, and they've really been accelerated over the last 18 months in continuing, right? We used to think that some of the consumer behaviors that are just commonplace today would still take another 5 to 7 years. But what we know is these are things that make people happy, being rewarded, making it safe and easy, convincing me of something, assisting me, inspiring me. And then there's this other aspect to it, and this kind of brings us to the content problem, right? Is that we know consumers use a lot of touch points, but what research says is they use about 6 touch points a lot more often than they use 4. So when you say a lot, it really does mean a lot. It's not just hyperbole. And of course, within that, customers expect consistency at each one of those touch points. This is where we start to zero in on extending the use cases of DAM, right? Because consistency of content has to flow out of a single repository. And as we know, content fuels, the omnichannel experience, and it's a big priority for a lot of brands as well, right? We know that content is, this trusted experience, what people experience online is content fundamentally, right? And that's what you need to do in order to grow your customer lifetime value. But we know content production is falling behind as well, right? So we have 2 drivers right now of needing to look at or needing to find a solution to a problem in the market much differently. One, we have the rise of consumer expectations, consistency of touch points, and then we have this internal one about content production falling far behind. And the reality is those content struggles are caused by a lot of tools, disjointed systems, and ability to collaborate. A lot of the things that I'm talking about here obviously point back to a DAM. And then there's this other piece, which is content operations. I think DAM used to live in a function called marketing operations, and maybe at a lot of brands it does still today. But something that I'm seeing, and I know a lot of attendees at the DAM Festival know, content operations is actually the modern way to think about this, because content isn't just used by marketing anymore. It's about how do you efficiently create, manage, and deliver relevant and personalized consumer expectations. Nothing in there specifically talked about marketing. It's all about content operations. So if your DAM used to live in marketing or is owned by marketing, we now need to think a little bit broader about it. So there's really 3 items here, right? It's consumer expectations, there's this lack of content being produced today, and then just the need for content to be across all internal departments as well. So of course we go to DAM, and within content operations, here's kind of how it would all fit together. And you'll see kind of DAM is in the middle here, right? And over to the right, you have web content management, you have your multi-channel marketing hubs. These are all places that you could have web presences built off of, but they all need to kind of flow from that DAM system. And this is where I want to highlight something for you. Those that adopt a DAM, Gartner looks at brands all the time, for example, and what they find is the adoption rate of a digital asset management system within the Genius class of brands is twice as high as those in the Gifted, and then 5 times as high as those outside of Genius and Gifted, right? So at this point, I'm still just talking about the core function of DAM really supporting a content operations capability. But now what I want to kind of pivot to is how can DAM actually go into that right-hand column? And that's where I want to now talk about headless content management, because 65% of marketing leaders actually think it's a company's content technology that's going to make or break the customer experience over the next 5 or 10 years. I thought this was a really insightful stat. We did this in a survey at Sitecore. We found this stat in collaboration with Forrester earlier this year, because in my opinion, marketing or brands as a whole have been investing a lot in data. And I think if we were honest with ourselves, there's a lot of good delivery solutions out there. Content, though, seems to be this area that hasn't really gotten the same amount of investment as others. And I was on a panel yesterday here at the Festival of DAM talking about content and commerce, especially DAM and commerce in particular, the two technology stacks coming together. And I think we're starting to realize that all of these functions that have been able to really tie themselves to revenue, they're all built on content still. So let's now kind of dissect earlier a little bit what kind of makes you feel disconnected from brands, because if we know that content is going to make a big difference, when we look at what actually makes a poor experience, there's really 6 things that comes down to. You have to work hard to resolve your needs, products and offers are pushed at random, and so on and so forth. The opposite is true when you're trying to feel connected to a brand. You're surprised and delighted, you're helpful, you anticipate my needs, I see myself in your brand story. These are all content-driven experiences. And what I'm trying to say is, it's primarily a process and technology problem, not a knowledge problem. Everything here is not rocket science. Yes, you want to be helpful, you want to anticipate, but it does require the right content, it does require the right way to get content out to the customer at the right time. And so that's why we're seeing the rise of the headless CMS. And like I said, I think I probably have a diverse audience right now. So I'm going to put this up just so that we're all starting from the same starting point. And that is, a headless CMS is going to support your omnichannel strategy. That's what it should do, right? Because it's going to help you efficiently and effectively plan. You want to create content once and then display it across all your different devices and channels. That first sentence reads a lot like a DAM value proposition, doesn't it? Now, why am I talking about a headless CMS then? Because a headless CMS, what it does and what the name suggests, right, is you have a content repository, which is your body, and that's separated from the presentation layer. When I say presentation layer, that's when I go to a website, when I'm on my mobile device and I access a digital property, that's the presentation layer at the highest level, right? And so a headless CMS is just saying those two things are different. Put it a different way, so hopefully you'll look at these slides later and be able to use them. What a headless really means, and the reason why you would do something like that is because you can create the experience specifically that you want, and you don't have limitations of a software's configuration options. And that could be, I want to create a really engaging site with a lot of different rich media, and now I don't have to worry about the WYSIWYG functionality, or you want to have a lot of integrations and you don't want to, again, have to worry about those kind of things. That said, there is often a lot more coding skills required than an out-of-box configuration. So it's not all, all benefits. There are some drawbacks here. But as we get to the end here, there are some really valid reasons for why you would want to do this. Now, the way that a DAM as a headless CMS would work is, again, kind of off to the left-hand side, you can kind of see what it is, but at the bottom, you have your digital asset management system. This is where you model your content. This is where you create content. Again, yesterday on my session, I talked a lot about how DAM is really spreading its wings, in my opinion. It's kind of going into a lot of other markets, especially going upstream where you have creation processes, where you have planning and collaboration. But a lot of modern dams, and Sitecore certainly is one that does this very well. You also have distribution, right? I think, maybe 3-4 years ago, we would have said, oh, dams kind of stop at the distribution and it's whatever you want to do. Now what we're seeing is, because dams really have created like public links, for example, because dams now have, for example, written articles alongside 3D models. And, again, you can access all those things via public links. Why don't I just distribute it that way? And that's what I'm trying to say here. Why don't you just distribute that directly into a delivery layer? And this is the headless aspect. And you can pick from, a lot of different delivery layers. You can make something custom yourself. There's a lot of open source delivery layers out there. But then that's what all of those devices that customers use will hit. They won't hit your dam directly. They'll hit that delivery layer. And again, the reason why you would do this, so if you're sitting here and you're thinking, okay, why would I do this? A couple of reasons. You already have your content managed and it's already curated in one spot. That's again, the value prop of a digital asset management solution. And that is what I still want everybody to buy a dam to do. But maybe your company's looking to quickly create new and helpful digital touch points, and you want to do it in a cost-effective and efficient way. So this could mean you might be on a very old kind of content management system that's powering your .com, and your IT department or your web developer might say, you know what, that's a really cool idea that you have, but we're limited by our technology today. We don't want to do that. Other companies have a policy to say, our .com, we really want to keep that environment clean because it keeps, it allows us to upgrade easily, or we're on a cloud version, and so we can't really evolve the way that you want. That said, it's like you still have this really rich library of content that you can use. So that's why you would do it, right? You have the content managed in one place and you're looking to create something new. From a marketing perspective, this is really useful, right? Because the marketer says, okay, I've got a centralized content strategy. I'm not changing my processes to add on these touch points. I've got, for example, those upstream processes connected into my dam. But most importantly, and I think it's the third bullet here, is you have a single source of truth for all your content and assets. So you don't have rogue libraries of multiple, CMSs that have just kind of a small portion of your library that isn't curated or managed because it's owned by a different team. You as a dam librarian or you as a dam practitioner still get to manage all of that content and all of those assets. And you can, finally, I think, and this is, a really important one because I have a diverse audience as well from an industry and company size perspective. This serves small business up to large enterprise. So if you were to buy a sufficiently advanced dam, again, Sitecore being a provider of one of these, it doesn't matter the size of your business. You can, again, build these touch points as needed, still having all of those benefits of the dam. But it's not just for large enterprise. So if you feel like you're a mid-market or you're somebody who has bought a dam, again, this is still something, doesn't matter the size of your business, you can benefit from. From an IT perspective, those of you that work with IT and work with developers, you can build solutions without constraints. So a developer loves this, right? They can get the remit from marketing and they're not hamstrung by any existing tools. From an IT perspective, it reduces the burden of content deployment. You don't have to do more infrastructure setup. You don't have to do scaling because your dam already exists. And you can already leverage things like your content delivery network for this headless CMS as well. So again, from an IT perspective, they're thinking, this is a great thing for me. So let me show you how this works. And just in the interest of time, this is going to be screenshots. I would encourage you to come visit us in our virtual booth if you want to learn more about this. What I want to say though is, again, you buy a dam for the core dam benefits to begin with. This is really sort of just an additional use case. So, what we would love to talk to you about is, okay, do you have a dam in place? Are you using it? And then we would kind of add this on as a secondary topic point. But let's start at the beginning. Let's go through how this would work, right? DAMs have planning in them now, right? Like that is a core component of a DAM. So you want to be able to review your content, plan out the creation of new and complementary content. We see this, kind of in the content marketing platform world. And what I'm really sort of saying here is think about this as written content, written articles, right? You want to be able to plan that out. You want to be able to have that go through reviews. You're going to author, you're going to ideate on it, you're going to create it. You can do this however you want to do it. But again, most DAMs should allow you to create that directly in the platform now. So think of these as valuable articles, not just kind of web copy, but like valuable articles that you want to save. Then you go through the review, annotate, and approval process. So on my panel yesterday, when we were talking with practitioners from Coty and Nestle, both of them said that the fastest way to, or the easiest way to increase your content velocity, which is how fast content gets into market, is to use your system, use the workflows, use the reviews and annotations to get it ready. Then you can start managing that content, start curating that content by creating those modular pieces, right? So I have my final asset here. Now I can start curating it, putting it into the different pieces to support the experience that I'm about to show. And then once I have it in my DAM, I can just use those public links on all those assets and publish that out to a web page. So what I've used here is an example of just like a fictitious CPG company that might put blogs out there, recipes out there, link it into some sort of e-commerce implementation. But something that I want to point out here, right? I think the use cases that a DAM as a headless CMS support, they're typically simpler content experiences. So, kind of library sites or microsite is probably too small of a word to use, but sort of standalone sites. It doesn't preclude you from some of those advanced digital experience things that we like, such as localized versions, translated versions, because that content resides in your DAM. You just have to connect those public links out to the right place via the APIs. You can still deliver this globally, still use your content delivery network. And then once it's published, of course, now you can leverage that across your channels, right? So, I showed how you could use it as a CMS, but that same content can then be pushed out to social channels, get pushed out to Instagram as needed. So a couple of final recommendations for you. And again, I want to thank you for attending Sitecore's technical lab today. You still want to buy a DAM for its core purpose, achieve your initial goals, that centralized source of truth, building on those workflows to have a nice content operations practice. But hopefully you might be able to use this as an additional use case for business justification. So if you're looking to upgrade your DAM or looking to put one in place, this could be a useful use case for you. If this is of interest to you, start familiarizing yourself with the headless CMS space. Simply Google it. A lot of good information out there. It's a really great community. You can probably just go over and ask your web team, for example. Go talk to them, see, is this something they're getting requests for? They may not know that your DAM can do this with public links. Maybe they do, and they just didn't know that you wanted to do this. So go meet with them. Again, I think the ideal use cases are applications with visual and written content requirements. That said, I want to make this clear too, because I don't want you to just fill, your DAM with web copy. The written content really should be high value items. So I think of that as like recipes, how-to guides, etc. And I think that's a way for you to keep your content manageable and useful, and you avoid having a ton of zombie content. So if this is of interest to you, again, we'd love to schedule a demo with you. Stop by our virtual booth. We're really focusing on core DAM use cases here, but we can absolutely talk about how we can use our DAM as a headless CMS with you. And so with that, I want to say thank you again for attending today's session.